Welcome everyone to today's webinar. Today we'll be talking and answering your questions around Microsoft Security Copilot. And we consider Security Copilot as the new AI engine for security posture. And that is what we will be talking about and showing you today. Security Copilot is where AI actually earns its place. A mature Sentinel XDR practice, not in detection, but in the posture, drift, governance layer, the rules you can't. Security Copilot is currently in GA, general availability, in Microsoft Commercial, Azure, and Office 365, and we expect support for GCC, GCC High, and DoD environments next calendar year. With that, I'm honored to introduce Carsten Du. Carsten is Planet Technologies Chief Enterprise Architect and Managing Architect for our Azure and Enterprise Endpoint teams with over 30 years in the industry and hands-on Microsoft experience since 1994. Not to date you, Carsten. Carsten has been instrumental in providing past You Already Own It workshops and cloud office hours like XDR and Sentinel, Azure, Sentinel, and a Defender for Cloud, and of course, Security Copilot. So this is an update since the last one we've done. Thanks, Carsten, for joining us today. We're so glad to have you back on the program. Lastly, I would like to take a second and quickly introduce our newest cloud strategist, Wendy Renfro. Wendy comes to us from working with Microsoft for 7 years, and she held many roles as an account manager, senior cloud architect, and senior cloud customer success manager. She has a ton of experience in highly regulated industries and cybersecurity. We're very excited to welcome her to the Planet team. You will definitely be seeing more of Wendy on future You Already Own It sessions. So welcome, Wendy. For more information about today's program, make sure you check out the links at the end of this program, and also on our blog on this topic that was posted in the newsletter that you hopefully received, and our website. If you did not receive the newsletter, please reach out to us. We'd love to get it to you. So let's get started. Before we dig in, let me quickly go over the agenda. There are 6 agenda items that we want to talk about today, and they all build on each other. First, AI on defense is now table stakes. Carsten's going to talk about why we even are having this conversation. Attackers adopted AI first, so now we're having to face machine speed attacks, and that demands machine speed response. AI on defense isn't a nice to have anymore, it's the cost of staying in the fight. Next, where AI earns its place, posture, not detection. Your Sentinel and XDR stack already detects the current, correlates events really well, but where AI actually earns its place is in the posture and configuration drift layer. So we're going to talk about that. Next, why Security Copilot, not just any AI. What makes Security Copilot unique and why you should want to use it? Then we'll talk about recurring posture agents measured against CIS. I think you're going to really enjoy some of the benefits that these can bring. Finally, the money question. Of course, everybody wants to hear about it. What does it cost? What are SCUs? What are Security Copilot benefits that come with your E5, possibly E7 licenses? Carson's going to go over that and how it's metered and how you can kind of control costs. And then finally, a live look at what Security Copilot looks like, actually show how an agent is run and the results. Quick housekeeping before we get started. Drop your questions in the chat anytime. We'll get to them as we go, and of course, we'll go over any questions that were submitted in advance at the end of the program. First, a quick poll here. It's anonymous. We'll move on. We're not going to wait, but we'd love to hear your results. Are you using any standalone AI tools for security operations today? We'd love to hear from you. And again, these are anonymous, so please put your response in the chat window. All right, Carsten. Let's start by telling us what has changed in fighting security threats and why we need AI to respond to that change.
Yes, well, thank you, Ken. We're starting out with some statistics. AI is driving a lot of what's coming towards us, threats and whatnot. And one of the numbers here, 54 versus 12% of everything that people click on is AI generated, just as a fun little numerical fact there. You will see that AI is used everywhere, every stage of attacks. If you're a deep reader of AI and what's happening, we might have read about OpenAI and Hugging Face recently, where we have AI models that breaks out of jail. They break out of sandbox environments and gain internet access and hack themselves back in again. So It's getting pretty complex, and this is where I think we can show how Security Copilot can help us as humans, right? Now, AI itself is a target, and that is something else that we want to think about when we are monitoring, analyzing, investigating what is happening in our environments. So when machines are attacking, we need machines to defend ourselves, right? Um, and as Ken mentioned in the agenda, Security Copilot is not a detection tool per se. We already have security stacks in our Microsoft environments, right? Where Sentinel and, for example, XDR, they are where we make the detections, make the correlations, find the events, log the events, retain those logs, because sometimes we need to go back in time, of course. I've underscored tuned analytic rules. Analytic rules are important for how Sentinel behaves. As you may or may not know, XDR comes with its own black box rules. Microsoft's not going to tell you what XDR does. It has its own instructions, its own rule sets, so we can't really impact how it works. But together, there are some overlaps still. The SIEM functionality in the Microsoft tenant is moving towards XDR. It's still moving. Where Log Analytics, the storage platform under Sentinel, is still highly useful and required in especially in some of the compliance environments that we have. So bolting AI onto the detection, I would say the way we are using AI, the way Security Copilot sits, from a detection perspective, it doesn't add much, and that's not why it's there in the first place. So the actual gap is what is happening in your environment. How do we keep track of what's happening in your environment? And of course, there's Secure Score, for example, which is a calculated result of what your environment looks like. It doesn't really tell you details. There's policies maybe that you have out there enforcing things, or just reporting on things. And then, of course, it's the question if it's still configured the way the control requires. How do you know? And the human effort to stay on top of that is just growing.
And you're going to show us some examples of possibly like whether or not people are still configured for MFA correctly in your demo. So we'll hold off on that for now.
Yep.
All right. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So the model itself, it's been called commodity, right? The model, the Security Copilot model, one of its benefits, of course, it's built into the inner workings, into graph, into the plumbing of your tenant. So that means that it can have direct access to the telemetry of services that you have enabled. So XDR as one example, MDE, Intune, other couple of examples. Purview is a big one that we can have AI access to. So in other words, the telemetry is available natively to Security Copilot. We can ground it, and it is grounded into the services. So for example, Entra or Purview, I can focus in on the services in the AI session. So I can pick the grounding or the signal that I want to work with when there is something going on. When I log in and when I use Security Copilot, I act as the user I am. That means that everything I can see as an administrator, Security Copilot can see. If I'm limited to something, for example, I can't see Purview data, my Security Copilot can't retrieve Purview data. It self-governs, so there is a Agent 365 servers. It will look at and risk score agents if we use agents in Security Copilot. So it keep an eye on what we're doing, why we're doing it, and of course there is an audit track of all of this. So we talk a little bit about having a lawful presence, right? In lawful in quotation marks. Where Security Copilot sits in your environment. It's in boundary, right? And other AIs, if you could give them access to Graph, for example, it would be a bolt-on, I think, in a compliance environment from a boundary perspective. That would be an issue. It would be a problem. I'm fairly sure about that. And that's not an issue, of course, with Security Copilot. Authorization, that generic AI would, of course, be able to see what you feed it. So it either you create that connection that we probably don't want to see, or you export telemetry and you can feed it. Where Security Copilot, again, acts under my permission. I think I'm just going to skip to the audit evidence here. I think that's a very important part here for anything we do security. We want to be able to show what we are doing, show the trails of that, show the logging. If you're using any other AI, it will be outside of our logging boundary most of the time. It can be inside a compliance boundary, but then again, you will have to show an auditor how data ends up in that generic or non-Security Copilot AI model.
Yeah, so its integration is really where its power is, huh, Karsten?
Yes.
All right.
And it also, before you leave that slide, maybe, it also makes Security Copilot to set up a no-brainer. I'll show you this when we get to the demo.
Excellent, excellent.
All right, so we talked a little bit about posture from detection, right? We want Security Copilot to be that aid in showing us what is our environment really like. I'm using CIS compliance here as a example. NIST, CMMC, CGS, HIPAA can be other types of compliances, right? That we want to audit against. Here in this presentation today, I'm gonna show you how we can do the access control MFA evaluation using Security Copilot, which falls under the CIS 6 family. The other ones here are examples of things that we could have looked at, but that's not part of the demo today.
So Karsten, I understand that Security Copilot has agents that are built right into it, right out of the box. Can you talk to us a little bit about what they are and how they can help you get started?
Yes. On the next slide, I'm going to show you an example here, but covering the built-in agents here. So agents, think about it as automation, right? It's ran under the purview of Security Copilot. It's using its telemetry access. It's using the access that you, as the agent enabler, have access to, and it can be running continually. It can run on a scheduled basis. You'll see that when I show our demo here, and these first-party ones are Microsoft ones. They are sitting here. It's very easy to enable them. And if you think about what these are doing, I can, in very, very quickly, probably a couple of minutes, enable an agent that will cover your entire environment and find user applications without MFA. You do want to know this, and if you own environments, you know that someone is tasked with knowing this. Knowing this for a environment of any size is time consuming. And it's also something that you can't just do once in a while. You have to stay on top of it and know it all the time. So needless to say, the value of an agent like that is huge. Of course, we can have custom agents too. So if you have a little bit of experience with AI agents and can figure out how to create an agent and create queries, you can also enable these inside of Security Copilot. And again, then the advantage is the telemetry, the access to the services, the access to those data sources are built in for that agent. So that is the advantage, of course, of running that inside of your Security Copilot.
So while Microsoft gives you a couple first-party agents right out of the box, the important thing to know here, right, Karsten, is that these surface information to you, but they're not going to take the next step and do the remediation for you. There's still a human in the loop, and you're going to talk a little bit more about that, right?
Yeah, that comes on the next slide here.
Yep.
So just to recap what I was just talking about as an agent, we can set it up to do the research, do the data gathering, correlation, do the assessment, a comparison to a baseline, create a report, and then of course we get it to a human that we can have other actions, automated or not, that needs to be approved to go and do something. Now, we talk about agents. We need to start talking a little bit about cost and the SCU model is really the label that is on the cost or usage or consumption cost here for Security Copilot. It really stands for Security Copilot Unit. And it is built on a provision capacity. It's built monthly. And I'll show you what that actually looks like and explain how it actually works. It can be a little bit confusing when we start that up. We'll come back to this in a little bit. The E5, E7, it grants the an amount of Security Copilot units based on how many E5, E7 licenses you have. So there is a what is the word?
Formula? There's a
There is a
we'll
percentage.
get to that on that slide,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, there is a percentage there. We'll show
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Now the scope is also important. Security Copilot only exists in commercial cloud yet. I'm allowed to tell you it's coming. I don't know anything about when. So if you look at public roadmaps, last time I looked, maybe 2 weeks ago, it was not showing on the government or GCC high roadmap as of yet. So it will show up there. Again, I don't have any information of when this will happen.
Hey, Carson, we got a great question in the chat window from one of our participants. Does the conditional access optimization agent account for third-party MFA or only Microsoft MFA? Do you know?
That's a sneaky question. It depends where it depends where the third-party MFA lives and if I can create a connector to its telemetry. That would be the answer. Of course, the Microsoft MFA, I have directing in access to conditional access policies, right? So I can use that as data source. So there are other data connectors we can certainly use with Security Copilot. So I'm not going to say no that we can't do that. So I think there's an option for that.
All right, so let's throw a real life example from a time and cost perspective here using some of these agents.
Yeah. So I saw this with my own two eyes. We were in a project with Microsoft, and there was a large customer that they had all sorts of wishful thinking from a tool like Security Copilot. And the problem that was surfaced first was spam. Well, spam might not sound like a big problem, but for a large environment with a large amount of spam, it becomes a cost center. So this one customer had, I want to say they had 20 people literally working on spam
Wow.
in this environment. So it was a big customer, of course. But what they had done internally was, of course, everyone in this unit here, they were trained on how to deal with spam. This was written down in an SOP, so they had a spam SOP, and where we ended up creating an agent that was grounded in the SOP, so that the agent would go and follow the steps of the SOP and execute against the mail system. This agent was actually allowed to do things. It was taking the human gate here was to start the execution. So in the demo of this in a sandbox environment where there was 65,000 messages, they were processed in something like 5 minutes. So needless to say, the human effort here greatly reduced, right? And it was put in place for Security Copilot. It was using the telemetry or the access that Security Copilot can have based on the operator, right? And this agent was set up and is now running full time in this environment, taking
That's
care of
incredible.
spam messages, following the SOP. So I thought it was an excellent use case for Security Copilot.
Very good. How about another one?
Um, yes. So this is more of the day-to-day use of Security Copilot. Um, a lot of people, a lot of customers, they have adopted Office 365, for example. So they own and operate a Microsoft tenant. And with that comes a security stack that they may or may not have expertise in-house to run. And this is where Security Copilot adds some scaling or some, I want to say, abilities for us humans. I'm not a SOC analyst, but I can go out in Security Copilot and do some damage, quote unquote, as a non-SOC analyst, because the Copilot environment is going to show me recommendations. It's going to tell me what to look for. It's going to go out and query for some things. It's going to correlate known threats against what happened in front of me. So maybe I have an alert or something. I'm not sure what to do about it. And this is where Security Copilot can help me correlate all of that and actually tell me, yeah, I need to pay attention to this, and maybe it can tell me how to remediate it as well. It can certainly take me into advanced hunting, which is probably the most difficult or complex part of operating a SOC. And it can help me put together the queries I need, writing the report, and even recommend, hey, why don't you ask this user if they intended to download 1,600 files from SharePoint? Just to use a silly example. But anyway, so the added knowledge of operating a SOC, operating in an environment where you have telemetry, security telemetry, it's a huge factor of Security Copilot.
Excellent. We got another question here if we can answer it really quick. Assuming the user's permission, as in like a security operator, is Security Copilot capable of uploading a list of IOCs and hunting across the graph for matching events?
Yes, we can do that. I don't have a demo ready to do that, but yes, you can do that.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting a little bit long. I want to make sure we have time for the demo. So carry on, Karsten.
Yeah. This is more of a summary. We're leading with the engine, the AI on defense is table stakes. Security Copilot is, of course, our engine. It's in-boundary, permission governed, audited. The part that generic AI can't really replicate without some lifting and some plumbing that we really don't want to allow. So it's the offer is, of course, we can easily create automation around keeping our posture in visible, keeping in check, and we can measure it against something. As an example, CIS.
Excellent, excellent. Now this is what everyone's been waiting for. What are the costs for this? And do you get any benefits from Security Copilot with your existing Microsoft licensing? And I know you're going to go into this in some of the demos, so
Yeah.
let's just go over this really quick. Key
Okay.
term, Security Compute Unit, SCUs. Go ahead, Carsten.
Yeah. So the SEUs, they are consumed. If you use open the tool and use the chat, there is a consumption. If you create an agent and it runs scheduled or triggered, there is a consumption. If you run prompt box, there is consumption, right? And the consumption can be really hard to understand it sometimes. Microsoft tries to show you little tidbits of, hey, this is going to cost 0.12 SEUs if you run this query, for example. And what I have come to learn is that an SEU costs about $4 per hour to run. And I'll show you when I switch into the demo what that actually look like. Now, what's included with E5, E7? What I want you to know is that all the plumbing, all the deployment, all the integration of Security Copilot, Microsoft already did that for you. So deploying Security Copilot is literally a matter of turning on the billing model.
Yep.
Yep, very simple.
They make it nice and easy to consume.
Yeah, it's very easy. It would be very involved to deploy it fully the way it's operating, of course. So if you have 1,000 paid licenses with E5 or E7, you get 400 SEUs from Microsoft. And yes, the formula of the four. Wait, A5. I don't know the answer to that. I will have to look that up. I don't know for sure
either. We'll have to follow up on that one because there's sometimes the EVUs are different.
Yeah, let's make sure
we'll follow up on that though.
I read it as E5 first. Sorry,
yeah.
I jumped on that, Michael. Okay. I call it a quiet burner. It's a little bit sounds a little bit bad. When I operate in XDR and Security Copilot is turned on, in other words, the billing is enabled. If I open an incident or an event, Copilot does an automatic summary, and that costs SEUs. Now we can turn that off. It's configurable. So it's one of those things that you do want to have an understanding of, that you can turn it off. The operator can call it when it's needed. And there's one more step to that. I'll show you in the demo here.
All right. And the default is auto generate for summaries is on. So you're going to show us how to turn that off as well, or put it on maybe for just high level incidents or alerts, right? So, okay, we'll get to that. You're done with the slide. I want to make sure we move on to get to the demo. Yeah. Okay. So next poll question, really quick. We're not going to spend any time here, but we're going to go ahead and launch it, put it in the chat window. We're really interested in knowing what you're interested in for the next few cloud office hours. Please put your answers in the chat window, and we'll move on from there. Thank you for participating in this. So Carsten, while we're waiting for Carsten to get set up here, let me tell you what you're going to see in this demo. Carsten, go ahead and take over the screen sharing. I'll go ahead and stop. First, Carsten's going to show how to use some of the built-in tools. We talked about some of the agents. Then he will show how to customers, how to control costs and what the security compute units look like and where they are and so forth. And then he's going to show you how the CSUs are utilized. And then finally, he's going to show you how to get started with the steps on turning on Security Copilot. So that's kind of where we're at. And it looks like you're ready to go. So Carsten, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, I am ready to go. All right, so what you're looking at here is the Security Copilot interface, right? And with this, this is where I can start chatting like any other chatbot. I do want to call this out. If you want to know how to configure log size for Exchange Server, don't use Security Copilot for that. It will show up on your bill differently than what you would expect it. So you want to really keep this hyper focused on your security incidents. Now, I talked about the visibility. So under here, straight in my face, here are my sources. And if I go here, I'll stay here with the typical Microsoft sources here. If I do have an Azure firewall, I can turn that off for visibility. Defender for Office, XDR, for example, alerts and incidents from XDR, Entra, Intune, it's all here. Purview is also here, of course. I didn't turn on security for AI. I would say that's a chapter on its own. And this environment, it has a couple of Foundry AI Foundry instances here, but we haven't turned this on yet. So these are the sources. No, Don, turning these on creates visibility. So right now, this is not costing me anything to look at this. So right now, I'm not prompting anything. I don't have an active agent. I'll show you that. So right now, Security Copilot is costing me nothing. And yes, there are some, this is not my experience here. I haven't played a lot here. So Thomas, you asked about the non-Microsoft sources here. Yes, so there are the out-of-the-box non-Microsoft sources here. You see if I find someone that I can use. I know there's threat intelligence sitting in here. Jamf is a good one if you operate with Mac, right? Yeah, so just to show someone some of those. All right. Now, before we do anything here, so first of all, I'm not going to do a lot of things in here because you know how demos goes. But think a little bit about what you're looking at here. So this one, if you're a KQL expert, KQL is the query language we use for log analytics, right? Writing a script here to find out how many failed user logins we had. We can't really say how much time that's going to take. It's going to take an operator a little bit of time to put that together. Having this at your fingertips when there is an incident, when you need to use this tool, it's absolutely high value.
Yeah.
Here's another one that I think is really good. We have something that happened on a device. You compare this device with another device. So side by side, what is the security telemetry, Intune policies, maybe even Defender incidents between those two devices. So you quickly start seeing here that the time savings, the reduction of human effort here to get to answers and get to data that we need maybe when something's on fire is really where Security Copilot will help us. I'll get to the Max. I'll get to the SEU limits and max use. I can show you real quick. I hadn't really prepared that, but I can have workspaces. You can literally create a workspace for a group of users and assign them to that workspace or instruct them to use that workspace. And with that, I can have its own billing model assigned to that. So
Nice.
maybe I'll go into the usage monitoring here right away, since there's questions about that. It is interesting, of course. And I'll just go click on here. So here you see white on black, $4 for the unit. And I have 1 unit per hour set up. That's going to cost about $3,000 for a month. Now, this one unit, I mentioned one query might tell you it's going to cost you 0.12 SEUs. So that means that you can run what, 8 of those queries in 1 hour, and then you hit the ceiling for that one unit. Now, what's it took me some time to get used to this. After that hour where I did that has expired, I can do it again. So that's the thing. It's like it's an hourly pool, right? Um, and then what is on side here, I can allow overage. And this is a huge expansion from when Security Copilot came around, because if you're a little bit busy, you sit there and work for half an hour, maybe an hour, you can easily exhaust 5, 6 of these SEUs. But you don't want these 5, 6, 7 SEUs. So if you have a large environment and you have to operate with 10 SEUs to stay ahead of the usage curve, you see what's happening to your monthly cost. So we certainly want to keep track of that. It's better to start with that one and maybe set a max limit for the overage. That means that if there is a a short term demand, you can allow that up to a certain amount of units. So of course, if I allow 6 units to be overaged for 1 hour, the cost is now going to be 6 plus 1 times 4 for that 1 hour. Any question? Was that clear, Ken?
Yeah, so the
Listen,
key is really set it up for what you're trying to accomplish, but don't set it up and leave it and let it run for the whole month. Right? This is really on demand. So if you have a high compute request, then ramp it up and then ramp it back down after you're done, right?
yes. And
And then
then
you're and then the credits that you do get with your licenses, they reset every month, so they don't roll over in case someone's going to ask that question either. So just make sure you know that your units get reset every month.
yes, and also this interface is not going to show you your grant, quote unquote, based on your E5, E7 licensing. That is a correlation that Microsoft does at the end of the billing cycle.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Okay.
So I often get asked this question, what about you set it to 0? Well, you can't do that. So even if I uh, try to save this, oh, I don't think that was allowed.
That wasn't allowed the
That's,
other day, I don't think.
that was, I would say it's back to 1.
Okay.
No, okay. Okay, I see what just happened. It accepted it, but it kept it as 1. You see, I still have 1. So if I go to the Azure side of the house here and look at, and I wanted to show everyone this is as well. If I can security up, change view here. Where are you? There we go. I guess I can't search today. That's interesting. I'll find it here. Just give me 1 second. And this is our sandbox environment, so it's not something I need to hide for anyone. So here we have a Security Copilot. This is where my deployment is. So this deployment, as I said, it's a very simple deployment to enable this to run in your tenant. Just one second here. I just need some allergies going on. Okay, so if I open this up and I go and look at I have the same setup here. I guess it hasn't synced yet. I upped this a little bit before the demo here. But anyway, this is where the billing comes from. And this object, as I said before, this what I called SCP here, it's the security compute units object that needs to be there for Security Copilot to work in the first place. All right. Go back to Security Copilot. I want to show you agents real quick. And this is where I can browse available agent. I can enable them from here. I can sort by publishers, of course. There's more here. I did enable the conditional access optimization agent. It should be open here. So it takes us back onto Entra. And this is where the agent live. And you see it's active. I go to details here. And this is where if you have wandered into the land of conditional access, you know there is a lot of there's a lot of data, there's a lot of testing, there's a lot of trial and error. It's probably why I like this agent a lot. Here are a result of me reviewing this environment. I only ran it once. I didn't set this to be scheduled. It can be scheduled. For example, over 24 hours. And running it, I see right away, I have 14 users that doesn't have any conditional access applied whatsoever. It also shows you the cost for running this query. Now, if you run this every day, you'll see 0.18 times 4 times 30. You get the number that you can use in your budgeting. Now, this is where it starts getting interesting to me as a technologist. It has a bunch of recommendations. And for example, I should have this MFA policy for these 14 users. I can review this suggestion and I can review this policy and I can create that policy. Let me see here. Um, there you go. I put that policy in place. Now I have MFA coverage for those missing 14 users. Um, I didn't prepare to go look for that policy, what it does. Of course, we want to test it and make sure it doesn't block anything we want them to be able to do. But that's in a nutshell a power of Security Copilot and its agent. I think the last thing I want to show here, unless there was any other question we see here. Yeah, so Max had a second question here. Yes, we can perform actions within a prompt. Now, not directly from the prompt, but I can use the prompt to get me a script to do that. I can
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna play with that. I haven't actually tried that from the prompt itself. I tend to take things into policies or into the KQL world when I play with this. Um, let me take that as a takeaway, and I'll make sure you have the answer quickly. I think the answer is yes, because I do carry my permissions. You know what I mean? So, okay. So the last thing I wanted to show you here, I'm going to go ahead and close these things because I'm going to break everything. I'm going to actually go ahead and remove my ability to operate Security Copilot. And this is it. I removed the billing for Security Copilot. So right now I can't run it. There's probably a bit of a sync that's required. Never done this in a demo before. So if I go here and if I try to, let me see here. If I try to run this right now, I can do my, yeah, there's a little bit of a delay there. So it's still running probably on the SAUs that was assigned to this hour. It will stop working for sure. And it didn't finally fail sign in for me, which is also expected. Now, Security Copilot. This is no, not it. I thought it was just as easy to find it back to install it. Let me see here. There we go. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. Yeah. So this is the setup. The capacity needs to have a name. I'm going to call that SCP-3. I'm going to use the same resource group. And it tells you what do you want to set this up at from a billing perspective. I acknowledge this and I go ahead and create it. It takes about maybe 30 seconds after I hit create. And again, it's only a billing object that ties your consumption. There you go. So I go to this resource group, hit refresh here. There we go. So now my billing is back up. I go back to this here. I go to the workspace, go to manage workspaces. And as you see here, it hasn't synced yet. So SCP-3 will show up here, and that becomes the billing scope that I can run Security Copilot from. All right. That's the end of my demo. I hope this was a little bit helpful. I see there's another question here. Do you want to take the presentation back?
Yep, I got it.
To max and the rollout of Security Copilot, I would expect it to be showing up in GCC and GCC High. I really do. Again, I don't have any Microsoft documentation that points to that fact. So I keep looking at it on the roadmap. It's still not there, but yeah, I expect it to be in GCC and GCC High.
I'd say at the latest, we probably would hear something at Ignite in November. So it should be, we'll hear more probably at that time. Okay, so we had a couple questions in advance. I think Carsten handled a lot of them already in the demo about the cost questions and how to get it set up. There was a couple questions that came in advance. Can this help write policies that match controls for CGIST or NIST 853? Can it access my code to help analyze and write policy? What do you think, Carsten? Yes?
So I would say yes, and then a little bit back to what I said. I'm not, I won't be the first to recommend to use the chat ability of Security Copilot to do a lot of correlation, sifting through, for example, NIST 800, 175, 171 to find out what controls do I need for MFA, for example. I would go get that control and its control information, maybe in another AI, and give that to Security Copilot. Yes, I can create that policy using Security Copilot, but you see what I'm saying? I would do the heavy lifting somewhere else, maybe with Copilot, Microsoft Copilot.
Perfect. You talked about costs and so forth, but there's still a lot of questions about cost. How can I test Security Copilot without it costing too much? I think one thing that I don't think you ended up showing it, but there are some defaults, like the defaults that it automatically auto summarizes the incidents. So definitely looking at that to make sure you turn that off, because that's going to generate a lot of cost, right? Every time an incident's opened, it's going to generate a summary.
Yes.
Any other suggestions, Carsten, about getting set up and just kicking the tires on this?
So I would go and deploy it, keep it at the minimum, maybe allow the overage, and maybe instruct your users to what they should be testing and when. Maybe when you're done testing, you remove it again, just until you're ready to make that commitment, right? To have it running. If you have it deployed, as I showed, the minimum cost is going to be 2,900 something per month. So that's worth knowing about, and that you take into account. As I said, you can enable this quickly. So I've certainly had this conversation with customers that yes, we want to use Security Copilot when there's a fire, right? And then they go and they turn it on, they throw SEUs at it and have at it for whatever it's needed for. So again, I think it points back to what is the maybe experience level that you have internally to deal with signals and navigate the tenant, its services, its telemetry. That I think that's where the answer might sit.
Thanks, Karsten. All right, I think the rest of those were pretty much wrapped up. Jason, do you want to kind of bring us home here for talking about You Already Own It new sessions and sessions in general?
Yeah, thanks, guys. If you're not familiar with the You Already Own It program, I just want to really just take a real quick minute and explain it to you. This Cloud Office Hours webinar is part of the You Already Own It program, but as well, the 23 sessions, we call them benefit sessions or workshops that you see on this list are part of the program as well. There's no cost, there's no contract, there's no catch. It's simply a way to get more value out of the Microsoft technology that you're already paying for. With expert-led briefings like Karsten's and some of those, you can tap into a lot of the cloud strategists that we're part of, the AI, Copilot, Power Platform, and so on. I think it's especially wanted to point out that in the sessions, I've highlighted 3 of the or 4 of them. Those security and compliance tracks or sessions might be interesting to you. I really encourage you to be part of that. So if security and compliance is where you are in your roadmap, that would be a great place to start. Obviously, the other ones are available for you. If you've not been onboarded to the You Already Own It program, I'll drop a link to my contact information as well as a bookings app that you can go and book a session for. So thank you so much for being here today. Ken, back to you.
Thanks, I appreciate it. So a lot of what we talked about today, Karsten has put together this incredible set of links that are for your reference. Definitely take a look at these. You'll get a copy of this presentation. The recording link will go out afterwards. So definitely take a look at this. I think a lot of your answers could be found here. Our next Cloud Office Hours, just a reminder, is on August 27th at 1 p.m. And based on our last survey that we did, we're responding to you about what we heard that you wanted to see. So we listened. We're talking about Power Platform and AI modernization of existing solutions. So if you've got some folks in your organization that are into Power Platform and they're wanting to, or they have enterprise apps developers that are looking to modernize, this is the session for you. Definitely save the date, August 27th at 1 p.m. Please forward this to your colleagues. And as always, if there's a topic that you'd like to discuss, please put it in the chat window. We appreciate you doing the poll earlier too to help us. Look like Defender for Cloud was the next topic, which we thought it probably would be. So after Power Platform, it'll probably be Defender for Cloud, but we'll see. Thanks for doing that. Want to know how we did today? Please take a quick poll again. Do 1, not useful, very useful, 5. Appreciate your time doing that. So today's theme was all about using AI to strengthen your security posture. Attackers are already moving at machine speed, so defending at that speed is now simply a cost of doing business. Your tools already catch the threats well. The real gap is staying continuously configured and compliant. That's where Security Copilot pays off. It works inside your own environment, under your own permissions with full audit trail, and it keeps security settings aligned to a recognized standard with a person approving every change. Think of Security Copilot as an ongoing service that can help your existing SOC members be more efficient in quickly understanding incidents. This is not a SOC replacement, though. On the cost front, if you're an E5 or E7 customer, you do get some monthly credits based on the number of users, so try it out. But be mindful of the cost and make sure you put in the guardrails that Karsten mentioned. Usage is metered and some features run automatically in the background and quietly add up. So make sure you take a look at your monthly spend because it can be controlled and set up, check those automatic features like the defaults that we talked about to make sure that they're not run all the time. Well, that's a wrap. I want to thank you all for joining us today, and especially Karsten and Wendy for joining us. Whether you're just getting started or scaling towards enterprise maturity, our cloud strategists and You Already Own It program are here to guide you and answer your questions and help you turn your goals into actionable outcomes. See you next month. Thanks again.